Welcome back everyone to Xbox Nation, your home for everything Xbox. Today we're diving deep into one of the most anticipated games of 2024, Star Wars Outlaws. Whether you're a lifelong fan of the galaxy far, far away, or a newcomer drawn in by the promise of an open world Star Wars adventure, there's a ton to unpack. So, grab your blasters, fire up your starships, and let's jump into hyperspace as we explore the thrilling world of Star Wars Outlaws.
I'm in.
Let's kick things off with an overview of the game. Star Wars Outlaws marks a significant milestone as the first ever open world game set in the Star Wars universe. That alone is a huge deal for fans of the franchise. The game is set in the time period between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, offering a fresh perspective on a galaxy that's increasingly under the oppressive rule of the Galactic Empire. You play as Kay Vess, a scoundrel and thief trying to escape her past and secure a future amidst the chaos. Kay is far from your typical Star Wars protagonist. She's not a Jedi or a soldier, she's just someone trying to survive in a galaxy filled with danger and opportunity. Alongside her companion Nix, Kay embarks on what could be the biggest heist in the galaxy's history. But as we all know, nothing is ever simple in the Star Wars universe. This game promises to explore the shades of grey within the galaxy's underworld, and to be honest, I'm all there for it. Now, let's talk about the open world aspect, which is truly something special. The game spans multiple distinct locations across the galaxy, each offering something truly unique. You'll explore iconic Star Wars locales and brand new environments crafted specifically for this game. From the humid jungles of Akiva to the windswept savannas of Tashara, the diversity in environments keeps the exploration very fresh and exciting. There's a ton of variety in the landscapes, from the dense atmospheric urban centers to the wide open expanses that give you a real sense of scale. You can really tell that Massive Entertainment put a lot of effort into making every location feel incredibly authentic to the Star Wars universe. One thing that really impressed me was the attention to detail in these environments. The backstreets of major towns, the abandoned shacks that litter the planets, and the hidden caves, everything just feels so grounded in the lore of Star Wars. And you must be wondering about the atmosphere. Well, it's top notch. Whether you're walking through the bustling markets of a desert town or navigating a misty jungle, every location is dripping with Star Wars ambiance. Speaking of exploration, Star Wars Outlaws really nails the sense of adventure. You can hop on your speeder to traverse these sprawling landscapes or pilot your starship called the Trailblazer. The freedom to explore at your own pace, coupled with the stunning visuals powered by the Snowdrop engine, makes this game feel like a true Star Wars adventure. What's really refreshing is that Outlaws manages to sidestep the typical Ubisoft open world pitfalls. There are no repetitive points of interest or filler content to pad out the experience. Instead, every corner of the map feels like it has something unique to offer, whether that's a hidden quest, a secret item, or just a beautiful vista. However, the open world is not without its downsides. Let's talk about Tashara for a minute. While it's great to see these large open spaces, there were times where the planet felt a bit too barren. Even with a speeder to get around, I did find myself in some areas that were just so empty. No NPCs, no wildlife, just endless desert. I get that some places in the galaxy are supposed to feel desolate, but it can be a bit of a drag when you're exploring and there's literally nothing to do. It reminded me of the more tedious parts of Assassin's Creed Valhalla or Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where certain regions just felt like they were there to make the world seem a bit bigger. A more compact design with focused content might have served this game better in these instances. Overall though, the world building is one of Outlaw's strongest suits, and I'm excited to see how they expand on this in future updates and expansions. Now, let's dive into our main protagonist, Kay Vess, and her little companion, Nix. Kay is a breath of fresh air to the Star Wars universe. She's scrappy, resourceful, and far from your typical hero. Humberly Gonzalez brings Kay to life with a performance that's full of grit and determination, making her one of the most compelling characters in recent Star Wars games. What makes Kay's journey even more engaging is her partnership with Nix. This little creature might look cute, but don't let that fool you. Nix is an integral part of both the gameplay and also the narrative. Whether it's just fetching weapons, distracting enemies, or helping you solve puzzles, Nix is more than just a sidekick. He's essential to Kay's survival. Their synergy is one of the highlights of the overall game. Watching them work together in tight situations adds a lot of depth to the gameplay and makes you care about their journey even more. I'd love to see games take this approach where companions are more than just tag-alongs, but actually contribute meaningful to the experience. And let's be honest, who doesn't want a little Nix by their side in a galaxy full of danger? Now, let's talk about the gameplay and combat mechanics, which are expected a huge part of the Star Wars experience. Kay is equipped with a modular blaster that you can customize to fit different playstyles. Whether you prefer a rapid plasma plasma module for quick close-range encounters, or a heavy ion module for taking down droids and shields, the game really gives you plenty of options to tailor your combat experience. This level of customization is something I've always appreciated in games because it allows you to adapt to different situations in a way that feels personal. Of course, no Star Wars game would be complete without epic space battles and high-speed chases. The Trailblazer, your trusty starship, isn't just for show. It's fully upgradable, allowing you to enhance its weapons, propulsion, and defenses. Whether you're dogfighting with Imperial TIE fighters or exploring the far reaches of space for hidden loot, your ship is key to surviving the dangers of the galaxy. Also, let's not forget about your speeder. As you explore different planets, your speeder will be your main mode of transportation. Like your starship, it's upgradable, allowing you to improve its speed, handling, and durability. So whether you're racing through the dusty plains of Shara or navigating the busy streets of Canto Bight, the speeder provides a thrilling ride. However, while the space battles and chases are thrilling, the space exploration itself leaves much to be desired. Even though the controls and combat feel solid, space exploration becomes a tedious affair. I found it almost pointless with long stretches of empty space and infrequent enemy encounters. There were times where I'd literally just be holding forward on the left stick, waiting to get to my next destination. At one point, I counted a total of 4 minutes of nothingness while flying across the expanse of space. Sure, you can fast travel after discovering new locations, but until then, space travel feels more like a chore than an adventure. Honestly, I really wish they had minimized the space exploration aspect, as it was probably the least enjoyable part of the entire open world. When it comes to full-on firefights, the game doesn't shy away from letting you go in guns blazing if that's your style. But be warned though, combat can be challenging, especially when facing multiple enemies. The Imperial Wanted system adds another layer of difficulty, where committing too many crimes will have the Empire sending more and more forces after you. This system is a neat touch, adding a bit of strategy to how you approach each mission. So do you keep a low profile, or do you go all out and risk attracting Imperial attention? However, one downside I did notice is that combat has some more noticeable difficulty spikes. There were moments where I found myself struggling even on lower settings, especially when up against 5 or more stormtroopers at one time. It seems like the developers really wanted to encourage stealth over direct combat, which is certainly fine, but it can be frustrating if you prefer a more action-oriented playstyle. The inconsistency in enemy AI behavior also contributes to this, where sometimes they'll flank you and spam grenades, forcing you to think on your feet, whilst at other times they'll stand out in the open, making them easy targets. Let's move on to the mission and quest design. Star Wars Outlaws offers a mix of story-driven missions and side quests with plenty of opportunities for exploration and discovery. The main story missions are engaging with a good mix of combat, exploration, and puzzle solving. They also do a great job of pushing the narrative forward, keeping you invested in Kay's journey. However, when it comes to side quests, the game does fall into some familiar traps. While there are definitely some standout side quests that flesh out the world and offer interesting challenges, there are also a lot of filler quests that feel like busy work. Fetch quests in particular are a bit too common, and after a while they do start to drag down the pacing in the game. I get that not every side quest can be a masterpiece, but I was really hoping for a bit more variety, especially in a game with such an expansive open world. That said, the best side quests are the ones that tie directly into the main story or offer meaningful character development. There are the quests where you really get to see the impact of your choices and actions. For example, there's one quest where you have to decide whether to help a group of rebels or sell them out to the Empire. The choice isn't black and white, and the consequences of your decision can ripple through the rest of the game. It's these sort of moments that really make Outlaws stand out from other open world games. One thing I also appreciated was that the game doesn't bombard you with too many quests at once. You are given the freedom to explore and take on side missions at your own pace, without feeling overwhelmed by markers on your map. This is a welcome change from other open world games that really tend to overload you with so many objectives. Now, onto a topic that can make or break a game: performance. The game is powered by Ubisoft's Snowdrop engine, which is known for its ability to create detailed and dynamic environments. For the most part, Star Wars Outlaws runs smoothly with impressive visuals and stunningly detailed environments that make the galaxy feel alive. The lighting in particular is stunning, with beautiful sunsets, atmospheric fog, and dynamic shadows that really add depth to every scene. I did manage to test the performance on both the Xbox Series X and S, and I was actually quite surprised by how solid the experience was. On the Xbox Series X, you get a performance mode which does 60 FPS with an upscaled 4K, and then also a quality mode which aims for 4K at 30 FPS. On the Xbox Series S, you get a single mode which is for quality, and unfortunately, if you are on this console, you are limited to 30 FPS. However, not everything is perfect. I did encounter a few technical issues during my playthrough. Frame drops were quite noticeable during intense combat sequences, particularly when there are a lot of enemies on screen. There were also some texture pop-ins, especially when transitioning between different areas quite quickly. These issues didn't ruin the overall experience, but they were definitely noticeable, and I really hope they'll be addressed in future patches. Overall, Star Wars Outlaws does deliver a solid performance, but it's clear there are still some rough edges that needed to be smoothed out. If you're playing on the Xbox Series X, you'll likely have a better experience, but those on the Xbox Series S might struggle with some of the performance issues. Now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, my final verdict on Star Wars Outlaws. Does it live up to the hype? For the most part, absolutely. Outlaws is a bold and ambitious game that really offers a fresh take on the Star Wars universe. It's a game that dares to explore the galaxy's darker side, away from the familiar Jedi vs Sith conflict. With its expansive open world, engaging story, and deep character interactions, Outlaws has the potential to be a must-play for any Star Wars fan. That said, the game isn't without its flaws. Some barren areas, repetitive side quests, and occasional performance issues really hold it back from being a truly flawless experience. But if you can look past these shortcomings, you'll find a game that's rich with Star Wars lore, brimming with atmosphere and packed with adventure. So, should you play Star Wars Outlaws? If you're a Star Wars fan or just someone looking for a great open world adventure, the answer is a resounding yes. It's not perfect, but it's one hell of a ride. Just make sure you've got a good blaster at your side. That's it for today's deep dive into Star Wars Outlaws. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the game and if you'll be picking it up on launch. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more Xbox content every single day. Whilst you're here, why don't you check out our most recent video of the 18 best Xbox and Xbox Game Pass games you must play this September.